All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Daniel. My main topic is women in combat roles, and my main claim is women in combat roles are detrimental to the infantry and the U.S. military in America. My supporting claims are that women's physical abilities are different than males, causing them not to be able to perform at the same task effectively as their male counterparts. Integrating women into the infantry will increase sex-related conflicts in a unit, and mixed units will decrease unit cohesion. So back to my first claim, women's physical abilities are different than males. That's stated in a British study that was done, showing that the physiological differences in women are at a disadvantage in strength based on aerobatic fitness tests. So over the last 40 years, an aggressive integration efforts of the U.S. military has shown that women cannot meet some of the rigorous standards as men, such as the 40-pound ruck runs, moving 180-pound casualties into safety, and carrying 100 pounds of ammunition and fighting gear along extended dismounted patrols. A few years ago, 29 women attempted to pass the Marine Corps infantry officer training. Out of the 29 women, they all failed. The majority of it was due to the combat endurance tests that they were unable to complete. A study that was done by the Hill stated that all male units in the Marines were faster, more lethal, and had less injuries than units with mixed genders. With this being true, infantry units will be less effective and have a less survivability rating than those of mixed units. Putting women in a combat role isn't fair to the men who will be relying on them, and it isn't fair to the women who will find themselves at a deadly disadvantage. The National Review mentions that substituting men with far less combat-capable women is unfair, immoral, and unnecessary. With the second claim, integration of women to infantry units will increase the sex-related conflicts in a unit. It goes without saying that when you put a male and a female into a place for a long period of time, their hormones will get the best of them, and they just start having relationships and sexual content. Co-ed units already have a problem with sex-related issues, drama, and various other problems that male units do not have. One of the worst and ultimately negative effects that we'll have is pregnancy risk. Once a woman in a unit gets pregnant, she is no longer able to deploy, and if she is deployed, she is immediately sent home. So in an infantry unit, that one person who has to carry that gear, that load, and that responsibility is now out of the equation and can no longer fight the fight. Mixed units will decrease unit cohesion. So having a female and an all-male infantry unit, relationships will start to form, from consensual to unwanted advances or sexual assaults that will ruin a unit's cohesion. Having to respect and have faith in someone you know has lower standards than you or cannot complete a certain task, that lowers the unit cohesion. The trust that you will have in that person and the risk factor involved is just as necessary to that unit. And that concludes my claim on women combat roles are detrimental to the infantry units in America.
All right, Daniel, the good stuff is easy to pick out at the beginning. You've got a very clear statement of the proposition. There's an excellent layout of what the secondary points are going to be. In the body of the speech, you signpost pretty clearly, although I did think that you transitioned to the third point without really explaining that you were done with that second point, and then it ends up sounding a little bit like it's just an extension of that same second point. So you could be a little bit more distinct on those ideas. But organizationally, I thought you were in pretty good shape. You also kind of explained the controversy a little bit, although I think you need a heck of a lot more data on these points. So you make a reference to this long history of trying to integrate women into combat roles, and I don't know what that history really consists of. That's an assertion on your part. It seems like you say there's some political pressure to do that. I don't know that that's true. I don't see any evidence that that's true. I'm sure that there probably is, but that's a presupposition on my part instead of something that's been documented by you in your argument. So I think you need a little bit more information on that. The first point, where you were basically talking about whether or not women are able to meet the demands, you've got a reference to a British study, which I think is a good idea, except that the data that you cite there is pretty vague. And then you mentioned that we've had a history of trying to integrate women into this, and that they often fail on these various tests, these carrying tests, the 100-pound run tests, those sorts of things. I don't get a source citation on that. I don't have any statistical information on that. It's kind of a vague reference to what I guess is historical factual data, but it's, like I said, it's not cited very clearly, so I think that that's a little bit problematic. You do have one example that you cite, I think, a little bit more effectively, and that's the Marine Officers Training Test, where 29 women attempted and they all failed. Again, I think that that's a good piece of evidence. You do want to give us a source citation on that. You do have a source citation, Hale. I don't know what that is, but at least you do give us a citation for information that's going on there. And then you had National Review quote, which I think is a pretty good quote, except it seems to be focusing on the value that's going on here, that it's unfair to other people instead of demonstrating that women can't do this. And I think you need to still make the argument that women can't do this. And so I think, you know, that argument about whether or not it's fair probably doesn't belong on that particular point, but on another point. On the second point, concerning all the complications that are going to result, these are all hypothetical examples. You make an assumption men and women are going to do stuff that they're going to do. I don't, you know, I think that men and women are capable of restraining themselves in a variety of circumstances. I noticed that most of you are not jumping on each other in the 2 hours that we're here together every day. So the question then becomes, is it possible to do that over long term? You're saying it's not possible to do that, and I'm going, okay, so what proof do you have? I'm sure that there are examples of cases where women who are serving with men, where relationships have developed, there have been improprieties. There's a ton of statistical information about sexual assaults that ought to be in this particular point, because you even make a reference to that that's a potential problem. The issue of pregnancy, well, how much pregnancy occurs currently when men and women are not serving together in combat units? That, I think, would be a good starting place to go, you know,
That
say,
information was really hard to find.
yeah, well, I don't doubt that it's hard to find, but I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to find some of it if you dig enough. It does require a lot of research on some of those points. But I hear it referred to by people who argue about this issue. I mean, this has been a subject that's been around for a while. And I've had people who have done debates on these topics, and there's data about some of these things. So I'm not saying that, you know, you might have had a hard time. You just probably need to expand your research tools a little bit and find some other places to look. I understand that it's frustrating, but there's got to be some information on some of those points. And then even if there isn't, how about quoting psychologists that simply say, man plus woman equals sex? You know, that it's inevitable, you know, that men and women are going to get jiggy with it if they've been together long enough, you know, that kind of thing. There have got to be some theory on that. And then, like I said, on the last point, there's really this presupposition that men are going to see the women as being inadequate and they aren't going to have any trust in them. You've got an explanation of the theory without, I think, much proof on that theory. I understand the idea and concept there. I'm just assuming that it depends on what the circumstances are, what's going on, what the units do. The military is changing dramatically. What people have to do, combat infantry still exists. It still gets used. Nobody's saying it's disappeared. The question then becomes, how likely, is the integration of women into those combat units? Is it that sort of thing where they're, the spearhead that's going into the village, the town, wherever it is, that kind of thing? Or are we talking about women who are serving, sighting, guns, operating equipment, driving vehicles? I don't know. I could see where some guy might be worried, if I get shot, she's not going to be able to drag me out of there. Is that really the thing that's most likely to occur? I think you have to develop that a little bit. All right, you did a very nice job speaking to us, though. I thought that you were firm and confident in the way you spoke, and that sells the ideas, even though sometimes the information doesn't do quite as much as it should. All right, thank you.